Bottom line, the loss of The Walking Dead is a huge blow to Image Comics. This will likely cut into their market share until they find a new hit series to replace it. It will be very interesting to see what happens with Kirkman's lawsuit and if he pursues a lucrative deal with a streaming service. Today's video is supposed to be a review of IDW's excellent new series Kanto, but there was a huge announcement from Image Comics. Best-selling series The Walking Dead ends with Wednesday's issue 193. I want to give my thoughts on what this means for Image Comics and creator Robert Kirkman, as well as why it's happening now. Netflix also had a big announcement regarding Neil Gaiman's Sandman series. It's set to be the most expensive production ever for DC Entertainment. Finally, Top Cow is releasing Bryan Hill's Postal Deliverance this week. I want to pass on some issue information and give my thoughts on Hill and his ascension up the ranks in the industry. With that, let's get to the huge Walking Dead announcement from Image Comics. The following is from a report on Newsarama.com. The Walking Dead will reportedly come to a surprise end with this week's number 193 from writer Robert Kirkman and artist Charlie Adlard, according to Bleeding Cool. Bleeding Cool reports that the 71-page The Walking Dead 193 will be the series' final issue, despite not having been solicited as such, and subsequent issues solicited for release in August and September. I'm upset too. I'm gonna miss it as much as you will, if not more so. It breaks my heart that I had to end it and we had to move on, but I just love this world too much to stretch things out until it doesn't live up to what I want it to be, reads a purported partial statement from Kirkman. I hope you understand. I hope you, dear reader, know how much I appreciate the gift you have given me. I got to tell my story exactly how I wanted to for 193 issues, and ended on my terms, with no interference at all along the way, at any point. That's such a rare thing, and it doesn't exist without the unyielding support this series got from readers like you. Thank you so much. Image Comics publisher Eric Stevenson seemingly confirmed the news, offering a statement on the matter. For a monthly comic book to progress and change the way The Walking Dead has is completely unique, and what's more impressive is that it has done so for its entire 193 issue run without relaunching or rebooting. Stevenson told Bleeding Cool, Robert Kirkman has told one story and told it well for over 15 years, and while most comics are based on the illusion of change, The Walking Dead has happened in real time. Characters have aged from children to adults. They've lost limbs. They've lost eyes. They've lost family members and friends. Not died in the nudge, nudge, wink, wink way that Superman, Captain America, and Wolverine died, but in as real a manner as can happen in a fictional story. The series is concluding with the same finality, and while that will no doubt be disappointing for some, in the big scheme of things, it's a remarkable achievement for Robert and his collaborators. I'm honestly surprised the series wasn't canceled sooner, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. First, I want to talk about what it means for Image Comics. The timing kind of makes sense for their bottom line. Their other top-selling series, Saga, went on at least a year-long hiatus beginning in July 2018. Unfortunately, the series doesn't appear on the July or August Image Comics solicitations. Without The Walking Dead or Saga on the docket, Image Comics' best-selling series is Todd McFarlane's Spawn. It just so happens Spawn will release milestone issue 300 in August, followed by its record-breaking issue 301 in September. Both issues are premium priced, feature all-star creative teams, and McFarlane creating interior art. Demand for Spawn 300 and 301 should be very high, likely shipping well over 80,000 issues each. This should make up for the absence of both The Walking Dead and Saga. I'll be very surprised if Saga doesn't return in October to make up for the slack with Spawn returning closer to normal sales numbers and The Walking Dead's absence. Kirkman still writes two ongoing series at Image Comics, Oblivion Song and Die Die Die, which is currently on hiatus itself. Neither is the sales juggernaut The Walking Dead is, but both are great books that move solid numbers. Until Saga returns, Spawn is the only Image series currently shipping over 20,000 issues a month. Now that we've talked about the timing and how it affects Image Comics, let's dig into why it's likely happening. For a better understanding, I'm going to reference an article from The Hollywood Reporter dated 6 March 2019. Although Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman is still in the early stages of his Prophet's lawsuit over the mega-hit zombie franchise, his attorney is frustrated by a lack of immediate explanation from AMC about how the company has come to some of its decisions on the accounting front. In a status conference report filed in Los Angeles Superior Court this week, Kirkman's lawyer Ronald Nessim estimates that AMC's decisions have cost his clients at least many hundreds of millions of dollars, and is priming the judge's intervention in exchanges of information between the parties. Kirkman, along with series producers Gail Ann Hurd, Glenn Mazzara, and David Alpert, filed suit in August 2017 with the allegation they've been massively cheated. The dispute raises questions about what AMC's studio arm is charging ABC's cable network for rights to air the show. The intra-nature of transactions at the vertically integrated entertainment companies is a sensitive subject and the same sort of controversy that led to an arbitrator recently ordering 21st Century Fox to pay $179 million to the executive producers and stars of Bones. That result came after the arbitrator questioned the honesty of Fox executives tasked with giving testimony about deal-making and the market value for Fox's successful drama. The Walking Dead lawsuit from Kirkman hasn't necessarily gotten to the point where AMC must lay out all its cards on the table, but that time is quickly approaching, and as shown by the Bones dispute, AMC will have to navigate the situation carefully. AMC's defense is further complicated by the almost parallel legal fight brought on by Frank Darabont and CAA in New York, a $280 million profits fight that's headed for trial next year. Kirkman and his fellow producers are suing AMC for hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm surprised Kirkman continued creating new source material for AMC this deep into his lawsuit. I speculate Image Comics' chief operating officer took one for the team and kept the series going to get Image through Saga's hiatus. Sales for Spawn surged from 17,000 issues a month to 27,000 the past 10 months. Most recently, Spawn 297 shipped almost 40,000 issues in May. This likely allowed Kirkman to call it quits early, which may explain why new issues for The Walking Dead were solicited in August and September. Kirkman has a large portfolio of creator-owned IPs including Oblivion Song, Die Die Die, Invincible, Outcast, Super Dinosaur, Battle Pope, Astounding Wolfman, and Thief of Thieves. He obviously feels cheated by AMC. I'll be shocked if he does business with traditional television studios in the future. Kirkman has a track record of success in Hollywood now. Don't be surprised if Kirkman doesn't take his sterling reputation and creator-owned IPs and looks for a deal similar to Mark Millar's Millarworld with Netflix. Kirkman's recent comic sales, buoyed by The Walking Dead, are far more impressive than Millar's. He's also been more successful in the television market. The streaming wars are picking up steam and everyone is looking to produce their own content. Kirkman likely has more leverage now than he ever will in the future. The Walking Dead literally changed the fortunes for AMC. Before this series, AMC were licensing programs such as Mad Men and Breaking Bad from third parties such as Lionsgate and Sony. Walking Dead was the first show that AMC produced in-house. Bottom line, the loss of The Walking Dead is a huge blow to Image Comics. This will likely cut into their market share until they find a new hit series to replace it. It will be very interesting to see what happens with Kirkman's lawsuit and if he pursues a lucrative deal with a streaming service. That was a lot of information. I promise I won't get nearly as in-depth with the next two topics. The following is from a report on Gizmodo.com. After years of struggling to escape the clutches of development hell, a live-action adaptation of Neil Gaiman's Sandman looks like it's finally becoming a reality, thanks to a surprising, though not all that unexpected, partnership between Netflix and Warner Brothers. The Hollywood Reporter writes that Netflix has greenlit a live-action Sandman series based on the critically acclaimed Vertigo comic that follows the travels of Morpheus, or Dream of the Endless, an anthropomorphic being who manipulates dreams and reality. Wonder Woman screenwriter Alan Heinberg is attached to showrun, with Gaiman and David S. Goyer acting as executive producers. According to THR, multiple studios, including HBO, were presented with a chance to claim Sandman, which is said to be a particularly expensive production, before Netflix emerged as the frontrunner. THR writes, sources familiar with the pact noted it as the most expensive TV series that DC Entertainment has ever done. Now that Netflix's Marvel deal is through, the streaming platform's looking for the next big block of content that could fill the comic book-shaped hole left in its catalog. With Lucifer recently added to its catalog, the platform's not exactly a stranger to content from the DC universe, and a beloved series like Sandman could be just the thing it needs to keep people watching when the show inevitably premieres. Some may be surprised the series isn't being released on the DC Universe streaming service. It honestly doesn't sound like DC Universe will be in service much longer. It just took a $40 million financial haircut due to an accounting error by the Swamp Thing team. All indications are the subscriber numbers are not ideal. Neil Gaiman's Sandman is likely far too expensive for the service. It's no surprise Netflix signed the show. Disney is launching its Disney Plus streaming service later this year. Netflix will no longer feature popular Marvel-related series Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and others. Netflix is looking to fill out their comics-related shows on the service. Not that Sandman and Marvel superhero characters have much in common. They likely appeal to divergent viewing audiences. Nevertheless, Netflix will now be the home of Sandman after the show went into developmental hell at Fox and Hulu. One interesting thing to discuss is how this plays into the recent death of DC's Vertigo imprint. When Vertigo started, creators owned the television and film distribution rights to their material. After DC realized how lucrative these rights were, they stopped giving them to Vertigo creators, despite most of the material being original and not specifically developed for DC. This caused many creators to make a decision: take the guaranteed money and lose potentially millions in future earnings with DC, or bet on themselves and take their projects to Image Comics, Dark Horse, or other publishers and keep the rights to their material. This was a major reason Vertigo's quality and popularity declined greatly the past decade. Mark Doyle and Andy Corey's mismanagement of Vertigo's relaunch was the coup de grace for the iconic imprint. DC Comics' greed with TV and film rights on original materials began Vertigo's slide to irrelevance far earlier. The final topic isn't TV or streaming related, but I wanted to talk a bit about Bryan Hill's Postal Deliverance releasing next week. The final report for today is from Newsarama.com. There's a new person in charge of Postal's Town of Eden in the new series Deliverance, and he's aiming to bring what series co-writer Bryan Hill calls some Old Testament-style law and order. The mail carrier turned mayor, Mark, returns in Postal Deliverance #1, out this week from Image Comics and Top Cow. With Mark as the mayor of Eden, he's struggling with keeping peace and how his Asperger's affects his approach. Mark's reasons and logic don't allow for hesitation, co-writer Bryan Hill added. He's a cold king of a dangerous kingdom, and the law is the law. Hill said this new volume of Postal offered the chance to shift the style and tenor of the series. I wanted to explore this world from a new angle, bring in some new genres into the storytelling. Hill told Newsarama, "This is definitely more horror. I'm going through a strong horror phase." Going through a horror phase might be one thing for Mark on his own, but he has his wife Maggie and daughter Eva with him in Eden, which makes it something they must all deal with. Their relationship is about to get tested in the most serious ways, Hill said. I'm personally a huge fan of Bryan Hill. For some reason, Postal is one of his only series I've never read, despite it being his longest running. Hill has proven his writing chops across several genres including sci-fi, action, crime, superhero, and now horror. He's been picking up more regular work at the big two. Killmonger and his brief run on Detective Comics, followed by Batman and the Outsiders, stand out as extremely high quality. I'm glad he's still taking work on the indies. His recent efforts on Angel are very strong. He's far too creative to be limited to franchise characters. Postal Deliverance is at the top of the list of books to review this week, alongside Mark Miller's Space Bandits. You can expect a review on the channel Thursday morning US time. Hill previously stated this would be his final year writing comics. I for one hope he's changed his mind. His writing grows with every new issue, and he's starting to get paired with top-flight artists like Juan Ferreira and Dexter Soy. If I enjoy Postal Deliverance half as much as I appreciate most of his work, I'll be catching up on the full series as soon as possible. That'll do it, folks. Image Comics shocked the comic industry with the abrupt cancellation of Robert Kirkman's best-selling The Walking Dead. This likely has to do with the ongoing lawsuit between Robert Kirkman and his fellow producers against AMC. This is a big loss for Image Comics, and they'll need to find a new hit series soon. Neil Gaiman's Sandman is finally exiting developmental hell and heading to Netflix. The streaming service recently lost a handful of Marvel-related series and are looking to fill out their comic-related entertainment. Bryan Hill's Postal Deliverance hits the shelves this Wednesday. I'm personally very excited for the book. Keep an eye out for a review on the channel Thursday morning. Thank you all very much, and I hope you join me for my next video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.